All right, next question. What is the meaning of the 77s in Daniel chapter 9?
Okay, how much time we got here? Daniel chapter 9. I'm going to try to make this short. In the passage, Daniel is praying about a specific situation. It's in Daniel chapter 9 in verse 2. It says, in the first year of the reign of Darius, of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books the number of the years specified by the word of the Lord through Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And then you have the rest of the passage is Daniel praying up until verse 20, and he's confessing the sin of his people. And in verse 20, he is contacted by Gabriel. Gabriel, the angel, appears in the room. That sets the context for the 77s in verses 24 on. That 70-year captivity, or that 70 years of the desolations of Jerusalem in the book of Jeremiah, was given because the Jews were not keeping the 7th year Sabbath. And so Jews had Sabbaths of days. And so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then Saturday is the Sabbath day. So 6 days and then a day of rest. They had Sabbaths of years too. Year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the 7th year, when they were planting their crops, actually they weren't allowed to plant crops in the 7th year. They were to let their land lie. Fallow is the term that's used. And in the 8th year, they were to go back in and plow it up and plant crops again, and then you had another cycle. So every 7 years was a year of rest for the land. And there's obvious reasons for that besides the biblical and spiritual implications there. And the obvious reasons are to keep the land fertile. And so they didn't have fertilizers and that kind of thing, and so they had to, chemical fertilizers, and so they had to let the land rest, and they would plow under what was left over from the crops, and that would fertilize the ground again. So you give it a rest. Well, what had happened was for 490 years, the Jews hadn't done that. And so God basically in Jeremiah said, you owe me 70. And so he gave the land the rest for the 70 years that he was owed and sent these people to Babylon. Then you get into the 70 weeks, and it's not weeks in Hebrew, it's 77ths in that passage. And so we use the term week for a 7, and that's how it's been translated, but it's literally 77s throughout the rest of the chapter. And so the verse goes like this: 77s are determined for your people, that's the Jews, for your holy city, that's Jerusalem, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. And so it talks about the fact that there is going to be a rebuilding of Jerusalem and a rebuilding of the wall, and that's the beginning point. And then it talks about that there's going to be 69 weeks. That's divided up into 7 sevens and 62 sevens until the coming of the Messiah. Okay, so when you're talking about 77s, it could be 77s of days, and so that's a literal 1 week 7, and so 70 times 7 is 490 days, right? And so you look at the scope of the prophecy, the things that have to happen, and you find out that you don't have enough time in 490 days for all these things to take place. And so with the context of Daniel's prayer, that we were talking about the yearly Sabbath, and the fact that the 77s in verse 24 are mentioned, and it can have a possibility of either being days, weeks of days, or weeks of years. Obviously, you go to weeks of years, and now you got something that works. And so this is one of the most amazing and specific prophecies that you have in the Old Testament, you literally have, to the day, the prophecy of the coming of Jesus into Jerusalem, riding on the donkey, and that's the purpose of it. And so that's for 483 of those years. 483 of those years. And then the last 7 years is the book of Revelation. And there's a parenthesis in between there. And so short answer here is the 70 weeks is talking about weeks of years. So 70 sevens of years are determined for the people of Israel.
There you go.